Hey everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and today I'm playing to win. And that's because, I don't usually try hard all the time in World of Tanks. I'm not there trying to sit to try and grind up marks of excellences or try and grind up ace tankers at every occasion. But when the ranked season comes on, and I feel like I've got something to prove, at least you've got an opportunity. You're playing against and with like-minded players, all trying to achieve one thing, and that is supremacy over the enemy vehicles. Taking them out one by one until one is declared the victor, and so that's what we're going to be going for today. Now, this season, in ranked, I'm primarily playing the Object 279E, but I'm not going to go into too much detail as why, as it's fairly obvious if you've been watching my tank reviews on the vehicle recently. So, I'm mixing it up with the occasional game in an EBR 105, because this vehicle, while a lot of people joke about it being ridiculously crazy and bad for the meta of the game, at least it requires, in my opinion, a little bit more skill, or at least it gives the enemies a bit more of an opportunity than if you're playing the Tier 10 Soviet reward-heavy tank, the 279E. So when I'm playing the EBR 105, and I played this tank in ranked last season and managed to get towards the top, but I didn't actually get gold last season, I only got silver. That's the first time since beta that I only managed to get silver. Every single season, in the beta season, in season I think it was 1 or 2, I managed to get gold, and this was the first one that I didn't. And that's because, frankly, there are so many 279Es and too many Donkerers, aka the Fake Chieftain, aka the FV4, is it called the 4201? The Clan Wars Tier 10 vehicle with 420 alpha damage that goes and sits hull down and has kind of like the speed of a medium tank, but the alpha damage of a heavy. It's rather gnarly, right? So this season, I decided if you can't beat them, join them, and so I'm playing the 279E primarily, but I'm also focusing on the EBR 105 because it's quite fun to drive around really quickly, and I feel like I just love my high-tier light tanks. And I also think the EBR 105 can definitely be competitive, as right off the bat, we managed to take out some of the vision of the enemy team and assassinate the AMX 13105, penetrating him 3 times. That's pretty much most of his hit points, and then a little bit of assistance from our artillery, and then now I get to make a play. Alright, both of the enemy's light tanks are dead, so what am I going to do with the speed of this tank, 95 kilometers an hour up this shallow slope? Well, of course, I'm going to get into base, I'm going to try and kill the artillery. Unfortunately for me, I've loaded a high explosive round. I didn't expect the artillery to be so prepared, and this artillery is definitely not a slouch, as he manages to instantly repair his repair kit and thinks immediately of getting his butt towards the wall to try and lock me in position. Luckily, I'm going to be able to finish him off, but it's not before I take a huge shell from the Object 279E. So well played to the GWE 100 on the enemy team. That was actually very good play there to force me to slow down, to stop me from being able to penetrate the high explosive round, and to have to then expose my tank to his team to be able to deliver the coup de grace to his vehicle. And yeah, the high explosive rounds on this tank have 105mm of penetration, and they have 500 alpha damage. It's one of the specialities of the EBR 105, and I truly hope that special high explosive rounds stay in the game like this, and they don't get taken out, as you saw in my video yesterday about the KB2, or at least nerfed into oblivion on the Sandbox test server. Alright, so I've managed to go into the enemy base. I've taken out one artillery. I couldn't find the other one, which strongly suggests to me that the other artillery has made his way down the slope, probably when he saw that both of his light tanks died, and probably figured out that I would have an open run into his base. So my team still has to deal with the Conqueror gun carriage, which is a rather annoying artillery to have to deal with. But having taken out one of the enemy's artillery, we immediately have a self-propelled gun advantage, which is going to stop the enemy from advancing and hopefully allow us to punish the enemies as they attack. So I was just taking the cap circle there, not with the intent of actually capping. I'm taking the cap circle to hopefully get the enemies into bad positions to force them to have to defend, where we are going to be able to take them out. And hopefully our artillery are going to be able to splash them. We force the medium tanks in the center to be able to have to put pressure up. When they fire, they lose their camera rating. When they lose their camera rating, that means that I can spot them with my albeit terrible view range in this tank. It has, I think, 350 base view range, and even with all of the advantages, like every single crew skill imaginable, with my Santa Claus being the commander on this tank, even with the premium consumable that you see boosting up my crew skills by an additional 10%, even with Bond coated optics and Bond vents on this tank, I still can't get it above 460 meters view range, which means it's still going to be tricky to be able to spot vehicles like the Object 140 at decent distances unless they're firing. So the 140 obviously smells blood in the water, thinks, oh, there's one weak EBR in the center and there's another EBR up towards the north that I can manage to chase out. And I think this is a massive misplay by the Object 140. The position that those medium tanks had up on the plateau there was one of their strongest points. And now I've locked this guy down and I'm managing to use the bushes ever so slowly to try and get into position to find out where he is. But even with the heat rounds on this tank, they only have 240 millimeters of pen, so it's still quite challenging. Luckily, I spot him in the bush, I go through the bush, I can just wait for a moment and then you go BAM! Finishing him off, 316 damage. That was a sitter. And boy, what a change that is. While we're down by a whole tank, it really feels like now we've opened up the middle of the map and I can do what a light tank is meant to do. And that is use their mobility to be able to get eyes on their opponents. And oh dear, that's a disaster for me. Looks like that IS-7 on the enemy team has exceptional view range, as he does manage to spot me at a decent distance, considering this tank has got about 45% camera rating when it's moving. So if he's got 500 meters view range, that means he's only going to be spotting me at about, what, 280, something around there. So that guy definitely had great view range to be able to light me up at a decent distance, considering I wasn't firing. But 700 spotting damage into him, I believe, from our artillery, or maybe even a Progetto managing to land a shell, and that's put him down to a stage where he's going to have to be a little bit careful as well. So when you're in your light tanks, in ranked, it's all about just realizing that more times out of 10, the players are going to be at least fairly decent, and also that they're going to be having good crew skills, they're going to be having good view range, and so you have to watch out for that. You can't really take as many chances as you do in a regular battle. The enemies are going to be really hot on firing their shells as accurately as possible at you. They're not going to probably have been drinking too much during the afternoon that they decide to play ranked. Everybody wants to be at the top of their game, and accordingly, you have to be at the top of your game too. And so that means just narrowing down the margins. If I was playing in a ranked battle, if I was playing in a regular battle, I might be able to get closer towards the IS-7 and the 277, but I can't do that in ranked. So I really need to try and work around the edge of the boundaries of where they're going to be able to spot me. And I figured out that I'm probably going to spot them maybe at about 420 meters with the amount of view range that I have and the amount of camera rating they have when they're moving. But they aren't going to spot me unless I get probably about 300 meters at best. And so that is my area to work them. I need to get between that 300 meters and 400 meters, sweet spot for me, where I'm going to be able to see my opponents, they aren't going to be able to see me, and then I can wait for when they're behind a bush, and of course, that blocks the vision between me and the enemy tank. And so even if I fire, the IS-7 isn't going to spot me. So I get to shut down one of the heavy tanks. And now I think, should I go after the 277? And I think, it might be a little bit risky. I don't want to get caught out here. I'm still a little bit worried that there might be an IS-7, maybe with binoculars towards the front end there, and he might be able to spot me. Or arguably that the 277 or even the T110E4 had made it into the center of the map. Now the fact that I haven't spotted the T110E4 and I haven't been spotted by the opponents means that I've got a little bit more leeway to play with. And so what I want to do now is harass the top of the map. I want to get in there and I want to support the Progetto 65 against the Object 277. And if I can do that, then maybe we can swing this battle in our favor by securing the northern flank. Now you can see what an advantage it is if you've managed to give your team an artillery advantage. And because we've given my team an artillery advantage, that means the 277 is now under a lot of pressure and we are not. And if, towards the end of the battle, people are getting consistently stunned by your artillery, that stops them from fighting back. So for all that I hate the artillery stuns and all that I dislike the fact that artillery just manage to consistently splash you, even if they don't even aim very well, when you're playing a light tank, artillery are definitely your friend. However, when I've been playing my Object 279E, definitely don't want to have artillery in the game at all. If I might say, every single game of ranked I've played, there have been 2 artillery. Every single game. And so for all of you budding light tank drivers out there, it might be a good opportunity for you. So I decide to fire into the back of the tank there, hoping that I might be able to wreck the engine a little bit. Maybe if I'd shot towards the mid part of the turret, I guess I could have possibly had a yellow ammo rack damage roll on him. But I'm just trying to distract him here. You see how I'm giving that T110E4 just hopes that I'm going to pop up, and that's to allow my EBR to be able to engage him. And now we can double team, and whoa, 900 damage! Either that was a low rolling high explosive round or an incredibly high rolling armor piercing round. And this is just beautiful stuff. This is me teaming up with the EBR on our team, and unfortunately the 705A shuts him down, and I'm just hoping that the artillery can be able to finish him off, because while we do have the support of 2 artillery, at that stage it was still 3 tanks versus 4 tanks on the enemy team. So you've got to be incredibly careful in these situations. It's all about not taking risks and making the safe plays that eventually will allow you to whittle down your opponents. And there you go, there's the 705A that killed my friend. And I spot for the Progetto, and Kane Blue Eye manages to finish off the tier 10 Soviet heavy tank. And now, that's a feels good moment. 3,600 damage, 3,900 spotting, and 4 kills. That is far above and beyond what anyone would expect from any player in ranked, let alone what an EBR would be able to do. Although Karelia in this kind of a situation is a very favorable map for this tank. I definitely think it's got to be in the top 5 maps for a light tank, especially the EBR, because there's great big distances that you have to cover, whereas other light tanks might be able to hold key locations over ridge lines and use exceptional view range that the EBR doesn't have. And that's what you really need to do. If you're playing your other light tanks and you're engaging in EBR inside the ranked battles, or even if you're playing against them in the random queue, you really need to take advantage of the fact that they at best have about 450, 460 meters view range. They've got probably definitely better camera rating than you, unless you're playing something like a Manticore, but you can get up to 500 meters view range, or even 520 meters view range. You can get even 530, way higher than they can. And so you will actually spot the enemy EBR before they spot you. However, you've got to make sure that you remain hidden, because they've got the mobility to be able to avoid the enemy fire. And if their wheels get hit, it doesn't slow them down necessarily, well, completely. Whereas if you're in a different tier 10 light tank and your tracks get taken off, then you are a sitting target, and you can't do these 90km/h whizzes all the way around to be able to avoid the enemy fire. So if you're wondering what I'm doing at the front there and why I'm ignoring this EBR here, it's because why would I want to sit in the cap and allow the Object 430U to sneak up on us? The best play for me, by far, was to patrol. I will definitely spot the 430U before he spots me, and then when I see that he's not trying to bother to attack us, then I can go into the cap circle and I can finish this one off. And frankly, probably this battle was won because of the impact that we had in it, and that's what it all comes down to when you're playing to win. And the result, of course, is a chevron gain for us. And could there be any doubts that we'd be on top after that tremendous impact? 1,442 base, that would be enough to get an ace tanker in this if we were playing inside the random queue. And most of this victory comes down to the fact that the enemy light tanks at the start of the battle played exceptionally poorly. The AMX 13105 got completely outplayed with the bushwork that I did at the start. And it looks like the enemy EBR made a mistake, probably got outspotted by our EBR, and then once your light tanks are still alive and the enemy light tanks are dead, if any of you watch the competitive form of World of Tanks, you will know what the outcome will be. Vision is key. And a team without eyes isn't going to be able to see what they need to do to be able to win the battle. So we still make a profit here with a premium account. We did fire a few heat rounds there, but this is ranked. There are gold rounds flying left, right, and center. So if any of you are thinking, oh, I might go and get back into ranked after QB put up a video about it, yeah, I wouldn't recommend it if you have an allergy to getting hit by gold pretty much all the time, because it's the standard ammunition, boys and girls. Love it or hate it, that's the way things are, unless Wargaming decide to make some dramatic changes to what they are calling their ranked battles of World of Tanks. And if you want to see more ranked gameplay, some which isn't going to be as lucky or flawless as this, then I'm streaming right now on Twitch, and so come and have a look. But I warn you, I get incredibly frustrated, angry, and salty when I'm playing ranked. And so be warned, if you think this lovely, happy, this is me trying to be the best of me on YouTube. If you want to see the worst of me, well, yeah, you could come along right now and join my streams while I'm playing ranked on Twitch. Either way, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. But if you hated it, give it a thumbs down. I really hope it was useful for all of you light tank players out there, and even just people trying to figure out how to gain an advantage over the opponents and the kind of movements and the mobility, or even just the ways that you have to attack on the different maps, and hopefully the way that you saw the enemies come back and we did that feign attack and then we fell back, which really influenced the battle, will help in trying to add that to your game as well. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.